Okay. Well, this is one of the members in the NIA Uptown group. She's our business coach, and everybody loves her. And she's assisted a lot of the members in the group grow in business. So anyway, she's the owner of Billionaire Thoughts and an expert in business coaching. And like I said, she knows how to help you grow business and also do sales. So take it over.
Okay, thank you so much, Giselle. I appreciate you, and I love NIA and super excited to be a part of your organization. And thank you so much for the opportunity for the NIA team. Okay, I remember when I had to choose between bread and rice, feeling frustrated, defeated, asking myself, how did I get here where I had to choose between bread and rice? It's because I started a business as an entrepreneur. I quit my 6-figure job, and I thought that I knew every single thing that my manager and the owner of this $4 billion company that I was working for knew, that I can just step out on my own and be successful. And then one day I had to choose between bread and rice. Not a good place to be. For you, it may be trying to determine how you're going to afford to hire the next employee. It may be, how do you get more time to go to little Timmy's baseball or basketball game? Or it may be for you that you want to grow and expand and you can't, or that you are worried that you're going to lose your job because you are not hitting the sales numbers that you committed to hitting. I will tell you how I overcame that is I got involved in a community like the NIA group, very similar to the NIA group. I got involved in a community and I hired a coach. I got around like-minded people, business owners, professionals, people that were going after their dreams and what they wanted to achieve, because entrepreneurship can be lonely, right? So once I got around those individuals and hired a coach, I took that technology business that I own. I got it to the point where I was just receiving residual income for years, and eventually got that business to a point where it was actionable and I could sell the business. And I sold that business, and I've started and sold other businesses in between. That was the first 2 reasons that helped me get past that point of frustration, that point of trying to figure out how do I get to the point where I needed to choose between bread and rice when I had enough money saved to get started. And the third reason is why you all are here. And the third reason is I got back to the basics. I had to get back to sales. I had to get back to, just because you own a business and your job is not the technical piece or the sales piece, and you start thinking that you can just do everything that's business but not get to the point where you get new clients. The number one thing that keeps this economy going is sales. So sometimes people think bad about sales. They are like, I'm not a salesperson. I am here to tell you that everybody is a salesperson. I don't care who you are. Elon Musk, who everyone knows, who owns Tesla and several other companies, he was able to sell, when he started the whole energy and space, he sold one of his first contracts to the government. He was the individual, not someone on his team. Elon Musk sold this contract himself, and that helped him to expand this piece of his business. How many of you are married? If you are married, you had to sell your spouse on why they should have married you. And of course, they have to sell themselves on why you should marry them. The best salespeople in the world is our children. I mean, my daughter is the best salesperson in the world because she gets any and almost every single thing that she wants. And I'm sure when it comes to your children, they are the best salespeople in the world too. So we can take some information from them, right? Well, today, what I want to talk to you about is I'm going to talk to you about 20 ways to close the deal. Now, we've been on this amazing training with NIA, and you guys have listened to multiple speakers that are giving you amazing ideas around how to increase your sales, whether it's Damon that talked about handling objections, whether it's the sales process, is so many different amazing speakers. So I encourage you, if you have not heard them, to go back and listen to the replays. But today, I'm going to talk to you about something just a little different. What I'm going to talk to you about is the things that you're not doing that are silent killers in your business. Silent killers that's stopping you from getting the deal. And you're not even really thinking about it because it's not as technical as we would normally do. Like technical would be, how many prospects did I talk to today? Did I fill my funnel, right? And what's my sales process? Of course, all of those things are important, but today I want to talk to you about some simple points that are completely stopping you from hitting the deals and closing people. Now let's come up with this first. I want to make a clear assumption, because I'm not going to like tiptoe around the words. At the end of the day, I believe that if you're in NIA and you have a product and service to sell, you are an amazing person, you have a great product, and you are doing what's in the best interest of your client, right? And your customer. So let's just get all of that out of the way, because I just want to use the normal terms: prospect, buy, sell, deal, and just keep it simple, because we are here to learn how to do that today. Okay, so the first of the 20 that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to share my screen now. So let me know if you are unable to see my screen at all. But number one is always remain seated, right? See, I told you guys it was going to be the little silent thing. So let's talk about, why should you remain seated? If you're presenting, if you're going through a demo, you should absolutely be standing, right? But when it comes time to sit down and negotiate, or to truly connect with them and get them to sign on the dotted line, you need to remain seated. That is so important. Anything that you can do, you want to remain seated, okay? If they get up and they're like, okay, I'm going to stand up, you're going to want to just stand up. That's like, it's going to be in you to just stand up. I'm going to tell you, when you do that, that assumes that it's done, it's over, and you have not really given yourself a chance to truly enroll the prospect that you're working with. So I want you to fight jumping up just because they jump up. Maybe you just haven't given them the information yet that they need to hear. So what we want to make sure that you do is always remain seated. That is so important when you're in negotiating and closing. When you're presenting and you're doing a demo, 100% you should stand up, okay? So that's number one. That's a silent killer. Number two, present your proposal in writing. So what does that mean when I say present your proposal in writing? Okay. When we talk through the different types of people, right? People receive information either auditorial, visual, or kinesthetic. Kinesthetic is like they feel you, they can feel that, right? And so sometimes when we are presenting information, we're just using the audio, right? And so people that are visual, if you're not showing it to them in writing, they're not connecting, they are not believing it. And the thing is that it doesn't always happen in the conscious mind, it happens in the subconscious mind. And I'm going to talk about a little bit of that as well today. So I'm going to give you an example. My husband and his business partners, our business partner, but on this particular opportunity, my husband and another gentleman, they are working together on a new project. And so my husband, Damon, said, so what are your thoughts on this? How are you feeling? And the gentleman said, I'm 70% there. And he was like, okay, what's the other 30%? He said, when we get it in writing, then I'm all the way in. But right now I'm 70% there because nothing is in writing. We're just talking about it. No matter how good the idea is, no matter how good the product, the service, until it's in writing, I cannot be 100% in. So it's really important that you make sure that you have it in writing, okay? All right, so the next thing is, number 3 is clearly communicate your proposal. Okay, this may seem very straightforward, and in your mind, you're probably thinking that you're already doing it, right? I'm going to ask you, I'm going to challenge you to be bold enough to record the next presentation proposal that you do. I want you to record it so you can hear yourself. When you hear yourself, you may not sound as you thought you did, right? So when you're communicating your proposal, I'm going to encourage you to practice, right? So you can feel confident and you can feel in control. Any sign of doubt coming from you, any sign of confusion coming from you, it's a silent killer for closing your opportunity. And let me tell you why. Let me tell you the things that can cause that. If I don't get a new sale, I'm going to lose my job because I have not made my numbers in the last 2 months. If I don't get a new sale, I'm not going to be able to make payroll. If I don't get a new sale, I'm going to have to keep working 80 hours a week because I can't hire anyone new. So all of this stuff is in your head, right? And at the end of the day, it shows up. Even though you're thinking that it's not showing, I promise you it's showing. So that doubt, that desperation is coming across. So it's really, really important that you practice so you can clearly communicate and articulate your proposal with no confusion. Because if you're confused, what does that mean? It means that if you're confused, they are confused. And what do confused people do? Confused people do nothing whatsoever. So it's really important that we make sure. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention in this scenario is, again, it's not always the conscious mind that says no, it's the subconscious mind. And again, we'll talk more about that, okay? And actually, I want to take you back for a second. When people don't move forward with your opportunity, when you know it's the right opportunity for them, you know it's the right product and the service, they're not going to say it's because he seemed desperate or she seemed desperate. It's because it was confusing. They're really not going to say that. They're just going to have this feeling of something isn't right, something is off. And when they have that feeling, then that's going to make their subconscious is going to say, hey, let me protect you. So because I'm going to protect you, I'm going to tell your conscious, no, we're not going to move forward. And that's how we end up losing those deals. Again, today we're talking about the silent killers, not necessarily your formal process. All right. The next one seems so simple. Eye contact. How many times have you been around people and they have not given you eye contact? How many times have you been at a networking event and people are not looking at you? How does that make you feel when people are like, their eyes are all over the place? It kind of makes you feel uncomfortable. So I'm going to give you an assignment. So I want you guys to grab a sheet of paper if you don't have one, and I want you to write this assignment down. I want you over the next 24 hours to talk to 5 people. And with those 5 people, I want you to observe the eye contact that they gave you. I just want you to observe the eye contact, okay? And when you observe that, write down who had complete eye contact with you, who didn't, who had those shifty eyes a little bit, and how did it make you feel? How did it make you feel, right? So whenever people say used car sales type people, I believe that there are amazing automotive people that are in sales that are fantastic. But the ones that maybe don't give you eye contact, they seem shifty, shady, all of that comes from not what the person is saying. It's coming from how they're showing up, right? And so subconsciously, we're not like his eyes shifted. He didn't look at me. We're just saying, oh, something about this person seems really off. And that stops you from hitting your deals as well. Okay. I'm going to be quick on this because we got 20 points. Have a pen available. Please, please, please. I'm not going to lie. I have been in situations where I have not had my toolkit. What's in your toolkit? Your toolkit is the paperwork for them to sign, the pen so that they can sign it, because any delay is going to say, oh, I don't know if I want to do it. What about this whole virtual space that we're in? Because, I mean, my goodness, I'm doing business with people in India, the Philippines. Like, we can do business with people all around. So what is your online toolkit? Do you have a button for them to click on? Do you have something that you can send them quickly that they're able to sign immediately? Or do you let them walk away, or do you let them get off and say, okay, well, I'll send you something in like 24 hours. Then remorse sets in and you may lose the deal, right? So when I say have your pen, it's very evident, but at the end of the day, I'm really talking about your toolkit. Have the tools that you need in order to make people feel like you have it together and they can trust you by going with your product and service, because they are departing with something that is very important to them and something that took a lot of work for them to obtain. So can they trust you with it? That's the question. Perfect. Daniel, did you say anything to me? Did I just heard something in the background? Just want to make sure.
Oh, no, just had to do my admin duties and mute some people. That's all.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, the next one is to use humor to relieve the pressure. Oh my gosh, when we're closing, it feels like it's so much pressure. Like, oh, because you're thinking, I hope I get this. I hope it closes. Use humor. Now, I'm just gonna be honest. Like, I don't consider myself a funny person, right? I think the only person that finds me funny is my husband, right? And that's because he likes the other qualities about me. But most other people, I am not gonna sign up for a comedy show. But what I will tell you is, I want people to feel so at ease, and I want them to feel completely relaxed that I can easily introduce humor to people in a setting to lighten up the situation, right? When people are happy and they're fun, that's when they say yes. When it's a lot of pressure, I'm not saying yes, right? Because it doesn't feel good to me. Like, I'm feeling like I'm under pressure for whatever reason. This decision is a big decision. Think about when you purchase your home. So we have anyone who has purchased a home before, I don't think you felt pressure. And when you found the right house, I don't think there was like, can you remember pressure? All I remember is, yes, this is exciting. This is my home. I'm super excited. I'm ready to sign on the dotted lines. Now, the pressure could have come from making sure you have the mortgage and all the financing in place, but there was absolutely no pressure in making the decision that this is the house for me, right? So what I want you guys to think about is, how can you lighten up the situation? All right. And one way you can do that is to use humor, say something funny. Now, I do want to use caution here. Everything is not funny to everybody. Okay. So I believe when you make fun of yourself. So one of the things that Grant Cardone talks about is, he says, like, if he's sitting in the chair and someone's like, I got to think about it, he'll say, oh, I get it. You're in the wrong chair. You're in the thinking chair. That is like the wrong chair. That requires a lot of heavy work, which means that I haven't given you something that you need. And he literally will get the person up and switch chairs with them to help break it up. And then at the end of the day, the prospect is like laughing because no one is doing that, right? And that may be corny and that may not be something you're willing to do, but what are you willing to do? Like, come up with something that you can utilize to make people feel comfortable. And another way that you can use humor is through stories, right? So the whole world is talking about stories. Use stories to display something that's funny, or use stories to get people excited. Now, the caution is, I know everyone, it used to be a time when we would never talk about politics. Like, your politics was all your business, right? Now everyone's talking about politics. I'm going to say that if I would not introduce politics in the section of using humor, right? Because it's not funny and everyone has a different opinion. So don't use politics. Stay away from that. And then stay away from religion as well, because you never know. You guys, everyone, we believe in a higher being, but how we believe is totally different. So use caution and never make fun of them. Make fun of yourself. Okay, that's how you use humor. So make fun of yourself first and foremost. Stay away from religion and stay away from politics. You can have your opinion, but in the moment of selling, it's not important. And I'm gonna give you an example. Thank you for that thumbs up. I'm gonna give you an example real quick. So I was in a networking group, and in this networking group, there was a healthcare agent that was there. And she would stand up every single time and she would say, oh, the world is coming to the end with healthcare. Oh, whatever reason is Obamacare or something on the other side of the house, whatever it was, she would say one thing, and then another networking group, the other person would say another thing on the opposite side. And both of those, regardless of what my political standings are, both of those made me uncomfortable. And I did not want to do business with those people. But when I found someone that did not talk about the politics and just talked about, this is what's happening, this is your options, let me help you, that's the person that I went with. So, and I stayed with that person when I was in that particular town. So at the end of the day, guys, use humor and be cautious. Okay, number 7. All right, I promise you we're going to get through all 20. Number 7 is always ask for more time. So we always say, always ask for the business, right? Ask for the business. That's a big thing that salespeople don't do, is ask for the business. So I know some of the other presentations with our wonderful NIA speakers, they have told you 100 times, ask for the business. Okay, yes. Now you need to always ask one more time. Ask one more time. Ask one more time. Like, who wants to be on the team with a person that gives up? I'm just curious, right? Who wants to, do you want to be on a winning team? Like, it's football season. Do you want to be on a winning team? Or do you want to be on a losing team? We all want to be on a winning team. So people actually respect you when you ask more than once. When you don't take no respectfully, because maybe they haven't gotten all of their objections out of the way. Maybe you haven't provided them enough information, okay? That also goes with, if they get up and you haven't closed the sale, that's why you stay seated, because them getting up, they're saying, I'm done talking to you. And if you just walk out the door, then you haven't showed up with your arsenal, right? At the end of the day, you gotta ask one more time, okay? All right, ask one more time. All right, now have an arsenal of closes available so you don't repeat yourself. This is so important, okay? So I remember, Damon, if you go back and look at one of the presentations, there are a couple of speakers that spoke on handling objections. When someone has an objection, if you only have one way to handle that and they already shut you down on that way, then you need to have an arsenal of ways to handle objections, right? So when you're closing, objections are good. Like, I used to hate objections, but I love them now. When someone gives you an objection, they're like actually interested, by the way. So when they do that, what is your arsenal for helping them to make an educated decision on what's best for them and their family and their business? So you need to have more than one, right? You can't say, oh, give me one more chance. Or are you ready? Is the timing right now? You need to have an arsenal of how you handle the objections. And then how do you continue to follow up with them so that you can continue to ask them one more time, okay? That piece is really, really important. So I want you to think about the reasons that people don't say yes. They're not necessarily saying no, but the reasons they don't. So one of your assignments, get your pen and paper out, because I believe that the only way that you can benefit from the time invested in being here is that you take notes and you have action items. So here's one that I think is very important. I want you to write down the reasons why people have told you no or did not make a decision that you believe will come up again. So if someone says it's time, it's money, like, we know that's going to come up again. So I want you guys to write those down, okay? And then when you write those down, the next thing I want you to do is come up with your responses to that. Come up with your closes to that. And then at the end of this presentation, I am going to give you guys a way to get an ebook that has all of these points that go a little deeper into it, or that you still have access to use later as well, okay? So I want you to figure out why they're not saying yes. That's the objection, right? And then how do you respond to them in more than one way? All right, you want to respond to them in more than one way. All right, perfect. Number 8 is don't get up and keep walking out of the room, right? Or don't get off the call. Like, stay with the buyer and reduce the number of times you leave them alone, like leaving your prospect alone. Let them know that you are there with them through the entire process. Let them know that you are their person. You know, when people sit down with me and they tell me all of the challenges, if I believe that I can help them, I say, I'm your person. I'm going to help you. I'm your person. At that point, you know I'm your person to help you. How do we get to the best way to help you, right? So just remember, don't leave them alone. There's only one scenario that I would say that you should leave the room. Only one scenario. And that scenario is if it's a couple. So let's say you're in the financial service business, or you're selling cabinets or something for home improvement, a new roof, right? And you've done your presentation, and this is like a $20,000, $30,000 investment that they have to make. And it's a husband and a wife, or it's two business partners, you know, on something that's a business product or service. What you want to do at that point is you want to say, okay, I'm going to step out for a second, and I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to talk about it. Okay. That's when you want to step out of the room. If they are by themselves, you want to stay there with them. But if it's a couple, you need to step out of the room so that they can talk about it. Does that make sense? So we want to make sure that we do that. One of our other mentors, Brad Sugars, talks about that, and I have used that plenty times, and it made a complete difference in my conversion rate when I was working with couples in business. Okay, next, always treat the prospect as a buyer. What does that mean? Always treat them as a buyer. What we're saying here is we want to make sure that we are respecting them, and we are assuming that they can purchase our product or service. Okay? I'm just going to give you guys an example of this. What I love about Houston, because I'm in Houston, okay? What I love about Houston is when you go look at houses in Houston, you can look in a neighborhood where the houses are 200,000, or you can look at a house where the neighborhoods are $1 million plus. Because I've seen them all, because I love looking at houses, right? At no point have I really ever felt that anyone treated me like I could not afford that house. So that meant whoever trained those people, they trained them to assume that whoever walks in this door is capable of buying a property from us, whether they can afford it today or tomorrow, whether they can afford it this year or next year. We're going to treat them with the respect and always assume that they can be a buyer, right? So I think that's important. I have looked at home, and I've owned several homes, guys, real investment property, single family, just me, whatever. I'm just giving you these examples over the years because there are some years on me, by the way. But I have also been to homes in different areas, and they treated me, not in Houston, but they treated me like, why are you here? Like, you can't afford this house, which was completely incorrect. So be careful assuming that someone can and cannot afford your product, right? We have to really get past this whole judgment stage and assume that everyone can. Put in your qualifications, right? We're not talking about that on this call, but when it comes to pre-qualifying and all of that, you can have that in place, but always treat everyone like they can be a buyer, because you know what? I have a client today who has been with me for 3 years, but the first time I sat down with him, he did not buy from me. But 2 years later, he came back and he purchased from me, and he's been with me for 3 years since then. 3 years, over $50,000, okay? And so all I can just tell you is that you want to treat your prospects like buyers, okay? Now, always know that you can come to an agreement. So we're on number 11 now. Always know you can come to an agreement, right? Like, don't be so rigid, okay? We know that you know that I'm the person for you, and your prospects know that you're the person for them. Let us talk about how to make it work, right? I mean, you can get from the Galleria in multiple doors. Like, how do we just make it work? You know, you can go through Nordstrom, Neiman, dealers, like, I mean, not dealers, but Macy's, like it's a lot of different ways to get inside of what you want to buy what you want, right? So you guys know that I spend too much time at the Houston Galleria, okay? But at the end of the day, always know that you can come up with an agreement. Don't be so rigid. Let's just figure out how to make the agreement work. Some things that you can come up with. This project is $50,000 or it's $20,000. Oh my gosh, I don't have $20,000 sitting here waiting for you to come to buy this. No problem. We have terms. How can we make the terms work, right? So always know that you can come up with an agreement. You just got to sit down. Remember, I said that was the first thing. You just have to sit down and make sure that you are talking about it. Okay. All right. Number 12. We are getting to the finish line. All right. Number 12 is always maintain a positive demeanor, no matter the response from the buyer or, for that matter, from your own management. Okay. So what does that mean? If someone doesn't say what you want them to say, you're trying to sell the highest Mercedes that you can, and they can't afford that, but they can afford this other one that's over there. I mean, always be positive, no matter what. Even if someone tells you no, always be positive, because really, you're going to ask again, right? And you're going to ask again. If you have a negative attitude, then it's hard to ask again, because now my decision that is being made is not being made based on what's right for me. Is what's being made is your attitude. Okay. So another example, there was a lady that called me from LinkedIn. It was some way you can have this amazing software that allows you to communicate with more people on LinkedIn and promote your product. I mean, it was actually fantastic, right? It was an amazing, amazing service. And I am that person. Seriously, they say that salespeople buy the most stuff, right? And that's me. Like, sign. I am willing to buy it on my forehead. That's what the sign says. Okay. But she was so dismissive, kind of rude when she reached out to me that I didn't even buy her product, because I was no longer making the best decision for me of that product. All I knew is your attitude is not that great, and I can't get past that. So my subconscious protected me. My subconscious is like, wait a minute, you know that your mother told you not to let anybody treat you any kind of way. You have choices. And I immediately said no. So no matter what the outcome is, remain positive, smile, right? No matter what they say, because you're going to ask again. Silent killers. I know it doesn't seem like it. When can you have an attitude that's not positive? If the bills got to be paid, if you know that if you don't get this sale, you may lose your job. Or if you know if you don't get this sale, payroll isn't going to happen. Or better yet, if you don't get this sale, rent is not going to be paid in your own house as a small or a micro business, right? So whatever it is, just really practice smiling and remaining positive. Okay, there we go. Smile. I'm done with that piece. Okay, always treat the buyer like they can do. Always treat the buyer like they can. If you treat someone like they have money, then if they want this product, they're going to figure the money out, right? So I had my girlfriend invited me to go on a cruise. So I'm going on a cruise over pretty soon, but she invited me to go to one in June. And the cruise was double the amount that I'm paying. And it was also on a cruise line that's not better than the one that I'm going on. So in my mind, I was just like, I don't really want to go, right? And so I'm coming up with all these excuses like, oh, it's double. But you know what? At the end of the day, I get to choose which trip I want to go on. I get to decide. So I may not have an infinite, right, amount of money, but I get to choose how it moves around. So that's why you have to always treat every buyer like they can, because if they can, they may choose you, and they may make some sacrifices if they believe that you are the person, the product, and the service that's going to have a positive impact on their life. Okay? Yes, yes. All right. Now, the next one is always acknowledge the buyer for any offer or communication they make. Always acknowledge them, right? Always be excited for whatever they say, acknowledge them. Yes, okay, all right. Congratulations, yes, yes. Let's talk about the next step, but always acknowledge them and give them and make them feel good about their decision. Let me give you guys another example. So I remember when I had an insurance policy years ago. I was early 20s, right? And it was from a very reputable company. I'm gonna not say any names. It's still an amazing company, but it was a type of insurance policy that I had. Okay, now fast forward, I'm working with another insurance agent, and that insurance agent had a different product, right? They're both permanent life, they're just different types. And the new person kept trying to say that product that you already have is not a good product. You shouldn't be in that product. That's not a good product. But you know what that did to me? You know what it did? It made me feel bad. It made me feel really bad. I didn't care whether the product was a good product or not. It's not really about that. But it made me feel like I made a bad decision, right? Who wants to feel like they made a bad decision? Who really wants to feel that way? But that's how the new insurance agent people made me feel. So guys, when you're out, like if anyone is on this call and you're in insurance or financial service, or anybody for that matter, if someone has already purchased a product and you're trying to give them a superior product, don't make them feel bad about the first decision that they made, right? Because now I kind of don't want to go with you either, because you made me feel really bad about my decision. And I see that a lot in the insurance space, making people feel bad that they have one product or the other. In the financial space, right? If someone's made a decision and it didn't turn out to be their best decision, don't make them feel bad about it. Congratulate them for even making a decision, and that's helped us get better, right? We are all a work in progress. Okay. Now, here is the part that you guys are probably not going to like. The next one is always agree with the buyer. How many of you think it's okay? The buyer is always right. Now, Grant Cardone talks about this a lot. The buyer is already right. It's always right. We know that's not true. I mean, if anybody has worked in retail when you were younger, or any point in your life, right, and you worked in retail, we know that that's not true. But you need to always agree with the buyer, no matter what. Because if you don't agree with the buyer, you're really putting yourself in a confrontational state with that person that can be your client, right? So what are some things that you can say to agree with the buyer? My husband has this so down pat that it annoys me now. But one of the things you can say is, I understand. Whether the person is right or wrong, I understand. I understand. Let me write this down. Let me write this down. Please tell me more. I got it. What else? What else? Thank you for sharing. Tell me everything. So instead of saying, no, I'm sorry, you're wrong, that's not how it works. Instead of saying that, you're agreeing with them, because you're making them feel good. You're making them feel at ease, because your job is to help them. Remember, you know your product and service. You've been trained on it. You invented it, or you created it, or you have been taking it to the next level, right? But they don't. So always agree so that you can get to the next step to isolate what's the true concern, what's the true objection, right, that they're having. What are the other concerns? What's really bothering you? Because people don't always come out and tell you. They don't always come out and tell you that they don't have the money, or that they were going to do something else with the money and they don't want to use it for that, or they don't trust that their spouse is going to utilize whatever we're selling. Like, people don't always tell you the true objection. But when you agree with them, you are able to slowly build that trust to get to the real objection. Again, I highly recommend that you go back and look at the training that's in the NIA blog for handling objections. Okay, next, always look for a solution, right? Always look for a solution. We're gonna, no matter what, we're gonna figure this out, and we're gonna figure out how we're gonna do it. Always look for a solution. That's number 17. And number 18 is care so much you refuse not to close. Now, what does that mean? Because a lot of times people are like, I don't want to put pressure on them. I don't want to feel like a used car salesman. I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. I remember, I'm a business coach. You guys know that. Giselle mentioned that. And I remember driving in my community and seeing during COVID businesses right in my community that were closed. I remember seeing that, and it broke my heart. And I am not just saying that, I'm telling you, like some of those places I went to on a regular basis, I knew the people there, and it really broke my heart. And the reason why it did is because during COVID, none of our clients went out of business, not any of my clients, right? And the people that were with us as a whole, their businesses, they prospered. So the reason why it broke my heart is because I did not care enough, or I was too afraid, or I was too busy that I did not stop at that organization to see how I could help them, right? So never not care enough to help them. You have to keep pushing because they don't know what they need, right? They don't always, like, I know I want to be healthy, but I don't know which vitamins are best without doing my research. I don't know how to make myself completely healthy without going to visit a doctor, right? I know if I had a fitness coach, I would be in better shape than if I didn't. So care so much that you refuse to give up. You refuse not to close, right? What is the follow-up? How do you keep following up with them? How do you keep letting them know that you are there and you care for them? It means a lot when you're really passionate about the product and the service, which we said from the beginning, that I'm assuming that everybody on this call is very passionate about their product, their service. They love what they do. So refuse to give up on them. Refuse to give up on them. Continue to help them. Continue to drip on them. Continue to follow up. Don't give up, okay? Because what you don't want to happen is what happened to those businesses that are closed now, and now they're trying to figure out the next level in their life when that could have been their complete retirement plan. Okay? Nice. All right. Number 19, use all the arsenals of closes. Okay? You guys, at the end of this, Daniel is going to put in my email address. If you want to email me, I will definitely send you an ebook with this information, but you want to use all the arsenals, everything to close. Here's what I love. Houston is known for, the Midwest is known for tornadoes, right? So I thought tornadoes because that's where I'm from, but Houston is known for hurricanes. Would you want to just get a little prepared, just a little prepared for hurricane season? You know, I'm just going to have one simple bottle of water for hurricane season just to make sure, just one bottle. That's all I'm going to need. Would you want to just have a little, or would you want to have an arsenal of things that you can utilize if there's a hurricane or if the water is shut off? I've been in Houston for a few years, and every single year there has been a water problem. So now I have gallons of water that I make sure that I keep so that I can have enough water for me and my family to at least drink for a couple weeks. So when you show up and you're trying to close a deal, are you just showing up with the minimum, right? Because you haven't taken the time to practice? Or do you want to show up and you want to be ready and you want to make sure that you are protecting, you know, the person that you're going to be able to help? You're taking care of them. You're going to make a difference in their life. That's what you want to make sure you're doing. So you need to show up with your arsenal. I think about LeBron James, right? Everybody has their favorite, but LeBron James, he knows how to shoot. He knows how to block. He knows how to hit a free throw. He knows how to do all of that. But if you think that he is not showing up to practice every single day so he can know how to use all the arsenal so that when it's championship time, when it's playoff time, that he can make sure that he has practiced that. If we're in sales and we have to sell our products and service, we should be practicing. We should make sure that we know all the different tricks. We know how to hit the 3-pointers. We know how to block. We know how to do all of that stuff, right? That is so, so important, guys. So get your arsenal, right? Get ready for the hurricane if it happens. Make sure you have the stuff that you need in order to be successful. And that way you can keep practicing and practicing, because if you don't help the person that you were supposed to help, who's going to help that person? Who's going to help that person? They may miss out. My life insurance people, if you don't help someone get life insurance, we know for a fact that we're all going to die. No matter what, change and death is always going to be here. When it happens and you were the person that could have helped them and they don't get help, I mean, you not only affect them today, but you affect generations of their life, because now that person is starting from the beginning because they didn't have anything to leave to their children. Okay. So anyway, I just want to make sure. I'm really passionate about that because I hated to see those businesses close. And I have a mother who had a business and she didn't have any support and her business closed, right? So I'm really passionate about that. All right. The last one is always know you don't provide a service until you close. Period in the story. If you don't get them to purchase your product or your service, then you can't help them. I mean, it really is that simple. So when you're thinking that you don't want to press, you don't want to push, I'm not saying to like push them over, but what I am saying is, what does your communication schedule look like to stay in contact with someone? When you're sitting down with them, how do you make sure you've handled all the objections? How do you make sure that you've given them all the information? Because they could be saying no based on limited information, right? So you cannot help someone fully until you provide a service, okay? So that part is so important. And when you take that philosophy, you'll get out of this whole thing of being uncomfortable, you know, with pushing people too far for sales. I believe that commerce is what makes our society work. Without commerce in the United States, what do we have? We have nothing. So we need sales. Salespeople make the world go around. So embrace you having to do sales, and it's okay. And let me tell you one last thing. Do you know that salespeople have the ability to out-earn doctors and attorneys? So sometimes we don't feel good about it, but I love that I am a business owner, but I also have to sell in my business, and I'm okay with that because I know this is what makes the world go around. I know the more people I help, the better my community is going to be and the more jobs. So what is it for you? When you sell your product, how do you know it's going to make a difference? What's the difference? And latch on to that difference, and then the difference that you're making in your family's life, because you are taking your profession serious and you're not just haphazardly doing it. I am Sheles Wallace with Billionaire Thoughts. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with me today. 2 things for you. Shoot me an email. I think that Daniel is putting my email in the chat now, and I will send you the ebook that has what we just talked about. And then if you also want to scan that code up here, I'll also send you a book around networking as well, and how you can maximize your networking efforts, because we are all in NIA, an amazing organization, and Network in Action. We're supposed to be networking and getting to know people, and we're very thankful for the opportunity. Until next time, Daniel, I'll take it back to you and see if anyone has questions.
All right. Yeah, let's go ahead. Ooh, sorry about that. Let's go ahead and open it up for questions. Does anybody have any questions, comments you would like for Ms. Sheles here? We are 52 heads deep. We have messages coming in. Let's see what we got. All right. We have some thanks. Thanks, Sheles. Please send ebook. All right. In fact, you guys, there's a QR code right there in the upper right-hand corner. Sheles, is that active right now?
Yes, they can scan the QR code. It's going to give them an ebook on networking tips and how to grow your networking, but I'll also can use that and send you the information that we went through on this presentation as well.
All right, right on. And I see a hand up. Bridget, what you got? Make sure you unmute yourself.
Thanks, Dan. Listen, Sheles, this was like, thank you. I've never, ever, my former life, I was a school administrator, and now I'm full-time entrepreneur. And I did sales for school, which was crazy, but I always would say, I don't like selling, but I have to sell, and I do sell. And you just said something, again, it's a comment, and I just wanted to bring this out. This is my aha. Like, I'm getting ready to run with this all year long. You said, care so much that you refuse not to close. I do disc training, and so I teach people about their personality styles. Mine is I'm interactive. And you just said that just put a ding in for me. I don't like to follow up sometimes because if I feel like I'm harassing people or something like that, but you just made it plain for me, for my personality to understand. It's about them. If I care about them enough, I will not refuse not to keep following up. So, girl, I just want you to know you just made this plain all the way for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Coach D, what you got?
Hello there. Yeah, thank you again. I'm telling you, I'm enjoying all this. I'm jumping in on these different things that are offered by NIA, and it's been fantastic. So I used to work in corporate America many years ago. I'm self-employed now in a training, coaching, and consulting firm. And one thing they used to drill on us back then was the need to understand personality styles. You know, because if you're selling a demonstrative like they're an analytical, you could lose them real quick because they just won't respond because you're not giving them what they want, which is maybe data and statistics and things like that. What are your thoughts on that as far as from a sales perspective?
I think it's 100% true. I think when you think about the different personalities, and there are different assessments, but just in general, the one that I'm familiar with, and I would encourage you guys, the people that do personality assessments that's on this call, definitely get with them because it's really important to understand that. But if you have someone that's a D, for example, in the DISC that's very dominant, right? They make decisions very quickly and they make decisions based on results. Your I personality is going to be that person that's the influencer. They like to have fun, and they have to like you, right? And then the S is the one that's, loyal. They want to make sure that something is going to last, it's going to work. And then the C needs all the information in the world to make a decision. So most people sell based on their personality. So I'm an I, so I would typically sell based on my personality, but I understand the different personalities so I can relate to other people. But just think about this. If you are a C, which is someone is very analytic, you need all the information, you need all the details, you're going to sell based on that. If you try to sell a D personality that just wants to give me the results, give me the results, does this iPhone work? And how do I make the calls? Pack it up, I'm done. You will lose the sale because you're giving them too much information. So I think one of the biggest things people can do is study personalities, like get with one of the people that specialize in the different personalities on this call and understand your personality, but most important, understand everyone else's, the other types, so that you can sell based on that personality type and not yours.
Yeah, just real quick, thank you. You're spot on with it. And I just want to say, I remember one time I had a big corporate close years ago in this and the doctor told me, I was in medical sales. He said, the reason why you got the deal, everybody came in with glossy sales pages and you came in with research. And he said, I love the research, man. So you proved it. And they were just trying to sell them on a little glossy sales thing. So I just, it's always stuck with me, and not that I've been the best at it. So thank you for your answer. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Right on. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
I have a question.
All right.
Hi, I'm Kerry Rothbart. My company's called Staffing Together. Thank you so much, Lise, for your presentation. It was great. I actually took the DISC assessment. I know what that's all about. And it's very interesting because when you are, I'm in the recruiting business, and when you're working with personalities, one thing I always have a hard time with is because I'm such an extrovert and I'm talking, when someone doesn't have that humor and they're just really quiet, those are like the hardest things because you have to really slow it down, make sure they understand it. But I used to work for a company called Inspirity, and I did this assessment, and it is so valid. I mean, this is something that someone should do if they haven't taken it. And I know I'm a high I believe, and I'm an S or C. I can't remember what I was, but yeah, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, but great stuff. I really just want to let you know about that. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I would bet that if you're a high I, you're an S. A high I and S.
That's what I am. Yeah.
We typically aren't the same person.
Talk with our hands, and talk.
Yes.
But thank you. It was great. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we got a comment in the chat here. My favorite sales principle: sales is a sacred calling. Because there are sales, operations, management, marketing, etc., having jobs that feed their families and customers benefit from your product.
I love it. Thank you
Yeah.
for that quote. That's a great quote. Absolutely.
All right.
Okay. Well, guys, I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to join this call. And again, if you scan this code, I will be more than happy to send you again the ebook, and you'll also get the ebook on tips for networking in the NIA group. Okay. Thank
Ms.
you.
Wallace, great job. Can I jump in real quick before you hang up? I want to show you something, Carrie, that's available. So great job, Ms. Wallace.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Hey, Carrie, I wanted to show you something real quick. Dan, can I share my screen?
One moment.
Guys, there's a really cool personality assessment that we utilize at Network in Action called BANK, B-A-N-K. And it's available to each one of you to use as a member. And Dan, if you want to show them, I'll just let you demonstrate. Why don't you just go to Business
Do
Solutions?
you already have it loaded because I gave you co-host?
All right, so let me just show you here. If you go to the top right-hand corner of your Network in Action site and you log in there, you're going to see a little thing called Business Solutions. And it's really very beneficial for us. So what we do in the middle of an appointment, we had 90 seconds where we can help a salesperson determine. So watch this. Under Business Solutions, right here in the top right-hand corner, it says crack their code. And so why don't I do you, Sheles, I'm sorry. If you will, just go down here and put these in order that speak to you from most to least. There's no right or wrong answer. Take a minute and 10 seconds and read them and tell me which one speaks to you the most. So while she's doing that, I'll tell you, Carrie, this is like a disc on the fly. And
Awesome.
what it does tells me what her triggers are, what to avoid, how to speak with her, how much time and energy to put into it. So I'll let Ms. Wallace tell us what she is here. We'll just show you real quick. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, Ms. Wallace.
Thank you. I hate when I get caught up when you're on mute. Okay. So I would say for me, it is going to be action, nurturing.
You drag it down, Scott. This is different from the one I designed.
Oh, this is
There you go.
different than the other one. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Sorry, guys. So you just drag it to the spot.
Mm-hmm. Nurturing. Go back up, Scott, so I can see.
Sorry. These are both very similar.
Okay. I am going to say,
Don't overthink it. It doesn't matter.
okay, I'm going to say probably blue and then green.
All right, watch this. So immediately I know how to talk to Ms. Wallace. And all I have to do, what I do here, Dan?
You click the image. Go ahead and click away.
Okay, so all I know is that with Ms. Wallace, she does not want every I dotted and every T crossed. She wants to know price, benefits, how fast she can get it operating. I need to be on time. I need to be sharp. I don't need to oversell. Whereas if she was nurturing first, and I'm going to talk about family and community and giving back and how it's going to impact the world, and a blueprint and a knowledge, they want tons of information about this. So we use this both to award franchises and also to help our members before we speak to them about membership. So if you're interested in it, just do a quick little commercial. We always want to add value. All you do is you go over, you log into your site, you click on Business Solutions, and right here on the right, you can either just crack your code, or if you would like to use this more full-time for your business, you can activate a subscription. I think it's $99 a month to crack unlimited codes. And one of the coolest parts about it is if I had an appointment with Ms. Wallace in 2 hours, I can go over to her About Me on LinkedIn, copy and paste that into Bank's artificial intelligence, and it will tell me that she's an action nurturer, So I can get the information before I even have my first presentation with somebody. So hopefully that's as helpful, not near as good as your presentation, Ms. Wallace, but I always want to add value. So you can access that right in the top right-hand corner of your website, or you can reach out to me for more information if that's helpful. Any questions about bank or just at the 50,000 foot level?
Well,
Maybe
I would,
Oh,
I
go
know
ahead.
this is for everyone, but I would say that that is great. You know, that's a really quick way of understanding somebody's personality.
Yeah, I'm actually speaking at their convention next week in Las Vegas because I had an incident where a prospect had gone dark on me, Ms. Wallace. I had not been able to close her. She had gone dark on me, and I went back and looked at her bank profile, and she was nurture first. So I sent her an email, very compelling around the nurturing aspect about how we're having a charity event every year in every group, every 4 days, something's going on charitable, how am I having an impact on a community. And she circled back to me within about 15 minutes, and now she owns a franchise. And I've got 3 stories like that where the bank assessment really made a difference in my ability to help that person ultimately get what they wanted, which was our franchise. So it's very, very valuable. And there's lots more to it than that. If you ever want more information, by all means, reach out to me, Scott@networkinaction.com.
Thank you. That's
Great
awesome.
job, Ms. Wallace. I'm going to download your QR code right now. I can never quit learning about networking.
Thank you.
So thank you for your time. Daniela, good job. Giselle, thank you. And thanks to all of you for your time.
All right. And thank you, Scott. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. Be sure to check in on the first, third, and fourth Wednesday of every month for our Network with the Nations, our Sales Mastery. Thank you again, Sheles, and our speaker series. So we'll be seeing you at the next one. All right. Have a
Thank
great
you,
day,
guys.
everybody.
Thank you
Thank you.
guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
blessed day.
Bye.